Hi everyone, this is Eileen from No More Tomorrow, and today I wanted to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is anxiety and panic attacks. Before I begin, I do want to give a disclaimer. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is stuff that I have learned, my educational background, and my clinical work as a rehab specialist. However, this is not meant to replace professional guidance. I do think that if you are struggling with anxiety or panic, it's worth going to your doctor to determine what is the best course of action for you. When my anxiety got really bad, I did go to the doctor. I really started my weight loss journey in January 2019. I then took away stress eating. I feel like that is a big reason why all of a sudden I started to experience anxiety again and panic attacks. This also went along with, I was in my first year as a practitioner. I'm out of school, I'm not doing my clinical work anymore, and now I'm supposed to be out there in the field and I have people coming to me for help. I think I combined this being a new practitioner, finding my way in my field, along with now I'm not stress eating because I'm trying to lose weight. So by April, May of 2019 is when it really started, where I would have full-blown panic attacks to the point that I thought I was having a heart attack. Just kept coming and going. It like went in these waves. Like I would have waves where it was almost like two types of anxiety. So I'd wake up in the morning and I'd feel good for that second when I first woke up. And then the anxiety would kick in, and it was like this low buzz, this like low humming that was just constantly there all day for no reason, right? There wasn't anything wrong, nothing in my environment. There was no reason for me to feel this way. It was just, that's just how anxiety works, I guess. Got to the point where every day I was probably having 2 to 4 panic attacks a day, and it would just be like up, down. I feel okay, I have a panic attack. And then after about the third or fourth one, it would just kind of level off. And then honestly, at that point, I would be so exhausted and tired that I would just crash. I would come home from work, I would just crash in bed. The whole process would start the next day. I wake up in the morning, I feel good, and all of a sudden the anxiety would come and it would just sit there like this buzzing feeling, and then I would just have these waves. And not only were there like anxiety waves throughout the day, but it happened throughout the month. So I'd have like 2 or 3 weeks like this where it was every day, to the point where I just felt desperate. I would wake up in the morning, and then as soon as it started, I would just cry. Just think like, I cannot go through this again. I just can't go through another day like this. And then all of a sudden it would stop, and then I'd be totally fine for 3 or 4 weeks. Plus, again, I'm a new practitioner in my first year in my field. Everything was just combining into this mess. I did go to the doctor because I was wondering if I should go on anxiety medicine. It turned out I never did go on anxiety medicine. And then what I ended up doing for myself was thinking, okay, if I had a patient come to me with these problems, what would I suggest? I really use a sensory-based strategy to deal with my panic attacks. You know, you can Google anxiety strategies, panic strategies. You can find stuff all over the internet about things you can try. So there's no lack of suggestions on how to deal with anxiety and panic. The missing piece is, how do you then create a plan with these strategies, and what strategy is going to work for you at what times? Our body's constantly taking in sensory input every day. A lot of it becomes automatic, right? So you go throughout your day, you're getting auditory input, you're getting visual input, there's smells, you know, texture. Your body's constantly getting this in. And so I'm not going to go too much into the neuroscience of it, but this does play a role. So you're getting all this sensory input, and then your brain then processes it, and then it has an output or a response. Normal response is your body deals with the sensation, you move on. Some things you might find, oh, I like this, maybe some things you don't like, and it doesn't really impact your daily functioning. Then we have sensory deprivation. Sensory deprivation is when you're removing a lot of the sensory stimuli from your environment. And I am finding for myself and for others I talk to that sensory deprivation is becoming a thing while we're in quarantine. So where before quarantine we were used to going about our days, you know, didn't think twice about going out in the world, we're experiencing all types of sights and sounds and smells, there is a little bit of a decline in your sensory input. And I find the longer I stay in my house, when I go out, it feels more overwhelming for me. So then that leads to sensory overload. So sensory overload is when you're getting some kind of sensory stimulation and your brain is like then trying to process it, and it almost is like, whoa, I can't compute, right? Can't do this right now. I find that those two are working together for me. I saw this weekend when I went to Target. I've been in my house for weeks. And then when I went to Target, I had a panic attack. It's too much. It was just there was just a sensory overload. There's the lights, there's all, there's a lot of stuff to look at. There's people walking by. Where I'm used to being in my house pretty much by myself most of the day because my husband goes to work still. Something I used to do, which used to be simple, such as going to Target, was now this whole sensory overloaded experience, which led to a panic attack because I'm kind of in this state now of like a minor form of sensory deprivation, right? I'm so used to what I'm experiencing every day in my home. So any external stimuli I'm getting from the world is leading to overload for me, which is now adding and kind of bringing back the anxiety and panic I was feeling last year. When you think about using strategies to help with your anxiety and panic, the first important thing to know is there is 3 types of sensory strategies you can use. There is energizing, calming, and organizing. An energizing strategy is just like it sounds, right? Something that if you're low energy, if you're kind of it's something that's going to give you energy, it's going to pick you up. A calming strategy, again, just like it sounds, it's a strategy that's going to help calm you. Then there's organizing strategies. So an organizing strategy can be energizing or calming. The big difference with an organizing strategy is it's a very concrete activity or thing that you do. It has a concrete beginning and end, and it's something you can complete in one sitting. Depending on the strategy you use, it can help or it can hurt. This leads to all the plethora of information that we can find online about what to do when you're stressed out. How do we maneuver what works for us when? There's also something called heavy work. So heavy work is when you're doing something with your body, which can be very grounding and regulating for you. Organizing heavy work activity that we all could probably do in our home is something as simple as vacuuming. Vacuum a room, right? Sweep the floor. So I use organizing strategies a lot to help calm me down. Exercise is another form of heavy work. And that's, I think, often why after we exercise, our body just feels better. If you're in the middle of a panic attack, it might be kind of hard to go exercise. Something I've done in the past when I had a panic attack is I literally just started doodling or coloring. I found like a coloring page or something, and I just started coloring. And I would just color and color until I felt calm. What kind of an activity can you sit down and do in one setting that might help calm you down? That would be a good organizing strategy. A calming strategy is a strategy that will calm you, but doesn't necessarily have a very discrete middle or end, or it's not necessarily something that you will sit down in one sitting and complete. The best example I can think of is a garden. Maybe you have a garden, and gardening is a very calming activity for you. There's also a lot of sensory input involved with the gardening, right? So maybe there's the sun, so there's warmth, the smell of the dirt, the olfactory component. And so doing a garden is going to be something that you're going to work on long term. It might be something that you can incorporate into your day. And I did do a video about incorporating daily activities and with creating structure. I'll link that video below. Say you have a garden, so it's a calming activity. You get to do it every day. However, it's not necessarily organizing. How you can bring an organizing component to it is, let's say you just bought a 6-pack of starter plants. Then the organizing part of that is I'm going to go out today and I'm going to plant these 6 plants in a row, right? Start and ending. It's organizing. It's calming. It's one discrete activity that you did within the general activity of gardening as a calming strategy. Maybe you notice usually music is calming for you. If you get to the point where you're having a panic attack, it's not helping anymore, and it might also lead to sensory overload. So if your body's already overloaded with panic and you're like, okay, I'm going to turn on the music because that's calming, and you might find, that's actually making it worse, right? So what calming strategies are just general calming strategies that I can add throughout the day that kind of help when I'm in this low level? And then what do I really need when I'm at this heightened sense to bring me down? Those strategies might look different. If you have a panic attack, is that really going to help in the moment? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Another thing I do is creating structure throughout my day. Make my bed in the morning makes me feel calm. I've been vacuuming my room before I start work for the day. Signal to me, now it's time to start work. Going for walks is another one. Exercise most days of the week. Those are just a few examples of what I do. However, when I'm in the middle of a panic attack, these things might not work. Another strategy I've used is trying to ground myself. I'll tell myself, okay, I'm having a panic attack right now. Take some breaths. There's different breathing you could try. There's a breath where you can breathe in, hold, and then breathe out. Sometimes I'll tap like the left and right side of my leg. You can kind of bring me into the moment, or I'll start focusing. Basically what I do is I coach myself through a panic attack. I'll say, you're having a panic attack, sit down. Are you breathing? Okay, look around the room. What do you see? It's gonna last for about 10 minutes and I'm gonna be okay. Sometimes I will rub myself or give myself deep squeezes. Sometimes I lay down. I just lay down in bed if I'm at home. Sometimes the only way is through, right? So you just have to get through it. And then when I'm calm after the fact, I just kind of recognize, okay, I've just had a panic attack. They take a lot out of you. I don't know if you have panic attacks, if you noticed it. For me, I notice after a panic attack, I feel like crashing. So if I'm able to, I will crash. So once I've noticed it's calmer now, I feel like maybe I can try that strategy. I like music on YouTube called binaural beats. Sometimes music is too much for me. The music's going up and down, or if there's lyrics with it, or even classical music sometimes can be, I like classical music, but sometimes it's too much. Binaural beats I really like because a lot of those elements are gone and it can just be this calming sound. What strategies help me on a daily basis to deal with the low level anxiety? And then what strategies do I specifically need for those moments when I'm having a panic attack to help me calm down? And they don't look the same. On a daily basis, I use different sensory strategies. Even if you push furniture around, or you can do push-ups against the wall and then really push against the wall. That gives you some good heavy work. But when I reach panic attack, then that is a moment where I just have to kind of coach myself. So if you are experiencing anxiety and panic, I feel you. I do. I know how it can feel, especially if you're waking up every day and you're dealing with it. It can just become a situation that feels, for me, it became the situation that it just felt desperate. I realized, oh, this is another day I'm gonna have anxiety and panic attacks all day. I would just cry. I just wanted it to end. And then all of a sudden it would go away and then it would come back. So if you're going through that right now, I suggest seeking out help. Going to your doctor, determine what do you need. Do you need medicine? Do you need therapy? And I do love that we have access to the internet and we have access to a lot of suggestions and ideas of how to do calming or energizing activities, but it's important to remember that they all have a place and a time. So if you find that you're finding suggestions for things but they're not helping you, then that's a sign that maybe that is just not the right strategy for you, or it's not the right time to use the strategy and we have to think of something else. An example of that is on an everyday basis, doing something like vacuuming is calming for me, but in the middle of a panic attack, am I going to break out a vacuum? No, I'm going to do something else. And I think if you're losing weight and you're trying to get rid of, especially if you were a stress eater, if you find, okay, now I'm not stress eating, now I'm losing weight, and now I'm starting to have anxiety and panic attacks, I want to cry, I don't know what's wrong with me. To me, that's a sign, well, you got rid of this behavior, but what have you replaced it with? So trying to find activities and things that you can do throughout the day that help give you what stress eating was giving you. So stress eating was giving you a way to calm yourself through food. So now we need to replace that. So what other strategies are going to calm you on a daily basis? Then next level, right? So then if you're in a panic attack, then what kind of a specific strategy can you use during that attack to help calm you? There's just so much to say about this topic. I don't know if I can do it justice in a 15-minute video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, today is another day to reach your goal. All right, see you next time. Bye.